Each morning, real setups are broken down with entry strategies and technical reasoning behind every trade. This is today's best trade setups with Verified Investing.
Welcome to today's best trade setups. My name is Benjamin Poole, head trader here at Verified Investing. JP Morgan had a huge sell-off yesterday. It was testing that $300 level. I'm going to go over the charts with you today and show you what the downside potential entry point is for a long day trade on JPM. I'm also going to cover a couple different stocks. We're tracking the SMH, a nice parallel channel on the daily time frame. And then Google was one that we talked about yesterday. It's breaking inside of a parallel channel. It hasn't confirmed back inside of it, so we could get another move to the upside until we can get some more confirmation to the downside. So the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to jump into the SMH chart first. Here's this long-standing trend line, how price action has respected not only the upper boundary, but the lower boundary as well. As price action gets to the upper end, you get a lot of resistance on this level. And then when you get to the downside, you get a lot of support. Also, something to recognize as well is the midline of this parallel channel. When price action gets into this level, it either chops around it or gets a nice solid bounce before then eventual flush out to get to the lower end. Let's go ahead and zoom into the chart to show you what I'm looking at today. We are back inside of this upsloping trend or parallel channel, the upper end. The midline of this would be around $385.56. As price action continues to increase without it getting up to this level, it does slightly increase a little bit. So it could be as high as $386.75. However, I'm monitoring this pivot top. This is the previous all-time high at $372.78. If price can get above that, I would look for a little bit of a pierce, but this would be a good shortable level going into today. If price can break above that on a 15-minute closing basis, price will likely head higher, and then my next shortable level is $385.56. What am I watching on this chart? I'm still monitoring the lower end of the parallel channel. If we can get another break to the downside, breaking the lower end of this boundary, then we could get another sell-off. Your next gap fill on the downside is about $340, and that could actually happen pretty quick. As you can see, the SMH can have these nice sharp sell-offs if price action and the buyers step out of the way and the sellers really come into play. Serve Robotics is another stock that we're looking at. I was mentioning that $13.85 was a good shortable level based on this gap fill. For me, that was off of the table yesterday because we kissed the underbelly of this this gap fill. Price action did get above that, and then it had a nice sharp sell-off. I was looking for an upside target of about $14.72, at which point I would have shorted this yesterday. I'm still looking at $14.72 for a shortable level on Serve Robotics. On a 15-minute closing basis, if it decides it wants to get above that level, price will likely head a little bit higher. You can get some volatile moves in Serve Robotics, and so you can actually have it head quite a bit higher, probably going up to $15.43. FLEX was another stock that we were looking at. I'm still eyeing FLEX for a potential short trade. So what I'm noticing is you've got this pivot top right here, and then you've got this price action consolidation right underneath this upsloping trend line. Price action then got re-tagged this upsloping trend line right here on the 29th of October. If it hits again, you're likely to get a pullback. My max upside target for FLEX and my shortable level is $72 for a day trade. This would be also a shortable level for a swing trade. I would be looking for about a 10 to 15% move to the downside. If price sells off for some reason today, my Hail Mary, it would be at $62.39 for a good bounce level. Once price action does get below that level, though, you are looking at a potential downside to this low pivot at $53.06. Also, this sideways consolidation, you're going to have a lot of buyers who step in at this level on FLEX. All right, so like I mentioned, JP Morgan did have a nice fall yesterday. It was down over 4.5%, tested a $300 level. I do have a level a little bit lower than that based on an upsloping trend line. So let's go ahead and just jump into that chart. JP Morgan, what I've done is I've connected this low pivot from the lows of July 2025. Here's a secondary hit. This is kind of a kiss of this level on the 22nd of October. This is the third hit on the 21st of November. If price action hits this level to the downside, sitting at right about a pierce of $295, I'm along on this for a day trade, knowing that on a swing trade basis, this is would be the fourth hit of this upswing trend line. So any close below this level on a 15-minute closing basis, I would stop out of the trade, knowing that it's got this low pivot right here that we could re-enter at 292.83, and the secondary low pivot right here at about $290. But this is looking like a pretty solid setup. Another thing I'm kind of noticing is this is not the best head and shoulders pattern, but you've got this left shoulder here, right shoulder here, head here, right shoulder. So if this trend line breaks, this is kind of like the neckline of this upsloping trend line, and that could lead to a further move to the downside on JP Morgan. But right now, this $300 level is a lot of support. And again, my first level is a pierce of 295 for a long play. All right, the next stock I was mentioning is Google. Google has this beautiful upsloping parallel channel. Price is respected not only the upper boundary, but also the lower end of the boundary. It finally got above this particular upsloping parallel channel. Now it's starting to look like it's coming back in. It did close below on this back inside of this parallel channel. Now it's retraced to the upper end. If price can then get back below it and pierce this low pivot at $311.07, it's likely to get some support right about the $300 even number. Price can consolidate along this midline, and then eventually I think it's going to break down and come back down to this wide range red bar candle. Could even head back down to this low pivot or this gap fill in the charts. This would be my long level today for a day trade, $284.28. If you're more aggressive, the midline of this parallel channel sitting about $300 would be a great entry price as well. There's a couple other stocks. Netflix caught a little bit of a bid, never got to that gap fill. I am still eyeing this gap fill in the charts. So let's go ahead and dive into Netflix. Netflix at $93.27 is still a great gap fill. It's actually right above the gap fill by about 10 cents. However, this low pivot area with all this price consolidation right in this area should be some pretty solid support. So today, a day trade, $93.27. What I'm looking at is this upsloping trend line as support. This goes way back. This goes back to October lows, 2024, secondary pivot from the 5th of August. We are below this level now. However, this is the third hit, so it does, on a technical basis, does facilitate a bounce. If price can get back above this upsloping trend line, then you're going to get another move to the upside, looking at a potential of $110. If we can break above that level, then we're going to go much, much higher on Netflix. Not going to go to all-time highs anytime soon, but you're going to go up to the $116 and could even go back to this gap fill at about $125. There are a couple stocks that are way overextended to the upside. What I do is I look for charts that are overextended to the upside and or the downside. Carvana and LITE are stocks that are just really extended, and I have a good level on Carvana, $491.32. This is a third hit of the underbelly of this upswing trend line. If it gets up to that level, for me, this is my first shortable level. Yesterday, I did have an upside target of $460. It got close to that level and then got a little bit of a pullback. Didn't get below $450. Now, because it's gotten so close that already, sideways consolidation, we could get another move to the upside. So $491.32, watch that level for a potential entry trade for a short. And then LITE, look at this extended move. It doesn't look that big, but if you take this low pivot from the lows of 22nd of October, look at this. It's 137% move to the upside. My max upside today is $380. It's currently trading at $357.95. I think we can get one more push up. $380.76 is my shortable level today on LITE. So I know there's a couple different charts that we're looking at. We're going to continue to monitor some of these, especially as they continue to get overly extended. And then on the downside, if we get into some additional support like JP Morgan, if it flushes that upsloping trend line, we can look for additional support levels. And then Netflix, hopefully it can flush out a little bit, fill us on that, and then recapture that upsloping trend line. That's what I have for you. Thank you so much for watching, tuning in, going live with me at 8:45 every day the market is open. If you guys are getting something out of this, please make sure you're liking, you're following, subscribing if you're not already, and then sharing with your friends so they can get this information going into the market open. Please stay tuned. Gary Soloway is going to be going live in just under 5 minutes. He's going to be talking about Oracle as well as the potential announcement with the Feds and what that could happen or what that could do to the markets going forward. And with that, I wish you guys farewell and see you guys next time in the charts. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.